Not everyone has a big podcast audience, but everyone has a story worth telling. I spoke with former President Obama about what happens when communities are given a space to share their own stories and how that becomes a solid foundation for something far more impactful and empowering. Take a listen.
Well, the power of podcasting is the power of the human voice and the power of stories. And what I love about podcasting is it's got a low barrier to entry. And that is revolutionary. The notion that you've got a story to tell, you get a microphone and you record that story. And if it's a good enough story, you might have somebody in Bangladesh or Munich listening to that story, a very specific story about a very local event that achieves some universal meaning to people and gets them to see something they didn't see before. That's not just the source of great art, it's the source of community, and it's the source of social trust, and it's the source of ultimately democracy and social cohesion. So we wanted to make sure that we had facilities here where people could tell stories. And not only do we have a recording studio, but we also, at the end of the exhibits, we've got that storytelling booth where we want people to be able to tell their stories. At the start of our exhibits, we have a prompt about a little interactive table for people to think about the stories of their family and where they're coming from. A lot of the training we do with the young leaders that work with us and that are part of our programming, first thing we do is to get people to be intentional about listening to other people's stories and telling their own. And we go through a series of exercises just to get that habit, all of which is to say, the recording studio is an extension of a broader philosophy, that everybody's voice counts, everybody has a sacred story, everybody has a perspective. And part of, I think, what I'm hoping for is people recognizing that you don't have to yell, you don't have to put people down, you don't have to say the most controversial thing that comes to mind, even if you don't actually believe it. That's not the only way to get people to hear you or see you. That, you actually have something more valuable than that to offer, and there's an audience for that. But we have to have some trust and faith in that, and hopefully this becomes kind of an incubator for that mindset. Of how do we talk to each other and listen to each other about the stories we got to tell, and find both differences that we have to respect, but also more often than not find common ground.
If you're from Chicago or plan a visit to the Obama Presidential Center, remember to stop by the recording spaces of the Media Suite and share your own message at the museum's recording booth, because